Imagine a country that built a wall so long it could stretch across a continent. A nation that invented paper, gunpowder, and the compass. A place that was once called the sick man of Asia, but is now one of the most powerful countries on Earth. This is the story of China, a civilization that refused to disappear. Long before Europe had castles, China already had kings, cities, and writing. The earliest Chinese dynasties like the Xia, Shang, and Zhou built the foundations of Chinese culture. They developed writing systems carved on bones and bronze, practiced ancestor worship, and formed early ideas about philosophy and order. But the real turning point came when war ripped the land apart. For centuries, China was divided into warring states. Kings and warlords fought nonstop, armies marched, and millions suffered. Out of this chaos, one man decided, enough! I will unite China. His name was Qin Shi Huang, and he became the first emperor of China. He was brilliant, ruthless, and unstoppable. In just a few years, he unified the warring states, created one currency, one system of weights and measures, and even standardized Chinese writing so people from different regions could understand each other. And then he began building something the world will never forget, the Great Wall of China. It wasn't built all at once, but under his rule, old walls were linked and expanded to keep out northern invaders. But his rule was also dark. Books were burned, scholars were buried alive, and anyone who resisted simply disappeared. Qin Shi Huang wanted power, not debate. He died searching for immortality, but the empire he started would change Asia forever. As empires rose and fell, ideas became more powerful than armies. China gave the world Confucianism, a philosophy that teaches respect for your parents, obedience to the ruler, and keeping society in harmony. At the same time, Taoism taught people to live in balance with nature, while legalism argued that only strict laws and harsh punishments can control humans. These ideas shaped Chinese government, family, and culture for thousands of years. In China, history isn't just in books, it lives in how people think, behave, and respect each other. Throughout history, China rose again and again under powerful dynasties like the Han, Tang, and Song. These weren't just kings, they were builders of a golden age. China invented things that changed the world: paper, which turned ideas into books; gunpowder, which turned wars into explosions; the compass, which showed sailors where to go; and printing, which spread knowledge faster than ever. While Europe was still struggling in the Dark Ages, Chinese cities were full of busy markets, beautiful poetry, and advanced science and technology. China was the center of the world's trade, connected to the Middle East and Europe by the Silk Road. Silk, tea, and porcelain left China, while gold, silver, and stories came in. But no empire stays on top forever. China was invaded by powerful outsiders like the Mongols, who created the Yuan dynasty. Later, another group from the northeast, the Manchus, ruled as the Qing Dynasty. For a while, China was still strong, but then came a new kind of power: Europe. In the 1800s, Western countries forced China to trade with them. When China refused British opium, they were dragged into the Opium Wars. China lost. Unequal treaties were signed, and foreign powers took ports, territory, and respect. China, once the Middle Kingdom, became known as the sick man of Asia. Rebellions, civil wars, and starvation followed. The old imperial system was collapsing. In the early 1900s, China finally overthrew the last emperor, but freedom didn't bring peace. Competing leaders, nationalists, and communists fought for control. At the same time, Japan invaded and committed terrible atrocities like the Nanjing Massacre. After years of war and suffering, the communists led by Mao Zedong won. In 1949, Mao stood in Beijing and declared, "The People's Republic of China is founded." But the story didn't end there. Under Mao, China went through massive social experiments like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution. These policies tried to transform China quickly, but they also caused chaos, famine, and millions of deaths. Once again, China was changing, but at a terrible cost. After Mao's death, a new leader, Deng Xiaoping, made a risky decision. To get rich is glorious, he said. He opened parts of China to global trade, allowed more private business, and turned cities like Shenzhen from fishing villages into global tech hubs. In just a few decades, China went from a poor, rural country to one of the largest economies in the world. It became the factory of the planet, making our phones, clothes, and cars. It's now a major player in technology, space, and global politics. Skyscrapers rose, high-speed trains raced across the land, and hundreds of millions of people were lifted out of extreme poverty. But this rise also brought environmental problems, political tension with other countries, and big questions about human rights and freedom. Love it or fear it, China cannot be ignored. Today, China is at a crossroads. It is ancient but modern, strict but innovative, powerful but still searching for its place in the future. For thousands of years, China has fallen, risen, and reinvented itself. So the real question is not can China rise? It already did. The real question is, what will China do next? And the world is watching. If you enjoyed this journey through 4,000 years of Chinese history, hit that like button, subscribe for more history in simple English, and comment, which country's history should I cover next? See you in the next video.